So, a lot of people lately have been asking about my story and how I ended up where I am today, especially in regards to Beachbody. So, I figured I would make a little off the cuff video to share my journey and my story with you. So, I should start out saying I'm Dana Fodiatis. I'm a 2-star diamond Beachbody coach. I am currently ranked 196 in the company, in great thanks to my incredible team, Empowered Elite. Um, I have big dreams and big goals, and I should tell you that to truly understand where I am now, you have to know a little bit about my backstory. So, I grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts. Go Red Sox. um, and I would say I was a pretty happy kid, except I always struggled with insecurity. I was on a synchronized swim team from the time I was very young, and it's pretty vanity focused, I guess I feel, because you're always in bathing suits and you're always needing to look pretty, and at least that's how I felt. So the the big thing that I feel like was the first pivotal moment in my life was when I was 12. My father passed away of a heart attack. Um, my dad had had a lot of health issues his whole life. I grew up watching him take a lot of medication and live in a reclining chair because he had ankylosing spondylitis, which is a disease where your vertebrae and your back are fused together. So his movement was very limited, and God bless him, he missed out on a lot. So, that was a very, very hard thing for me to deal with, especially because nobody my age really understood what I was going through. And I kind of learned to shut out my emotions at that point in my life because I just didn't know how to deal with them. So, because I was not able to let my emotions out, I, over time, developed an eating disorder. Um, it got so bad that by the time I was in my freshman year of high school, I had to be pulled out to go to day therapy. I was taken off my swim team because my heart rate had gotten down to 52. Um, my health was in jeopardy. My life was in jeopardy. And I felt like I had no control over it. It was obsessive thoughts all the time, and my relationship with my body was extremely unhealthy. My self-worth, my self-confidence were all very affected. So that was something that I had to continue to work on throughout high school. And the next pivotal moment in my life was when I was 16. I was on a family vacation at our summer cottage in Canada. And I was out on a boat with a friend late at night one night, and the only flashlight we had was the one I was holding in the boat. And I won't get too much into detail because it is pretty gory. But needless to say, I'm lucky to be here today. I was thrown out of the boat. I was hit by the boat propeller, which removed the top half of my left iliac crest, also known as my pelvis. It did a lot of severe muscle damage. I lost a lot of blood. I, by the grace of God, was able to live through that, and I spent about 2 weeks in ICU. And when I got out of ICU, I remember laying in the bed, and I had 6 doctors come in and surround my bed and tell me that if I was ever able to walk again, that I would walk with a severe limp. And having been an athlete my whole life, I decided then and there that I was not going to roll around the rest of my life, and I was not going to be physically limited. That all I could do was focus on what I could do rather than what I couldn't, because there was always going to be things that I couldn't do, and I knew that. So I had learned how to walk again within 3 weeks, and I was walking upstairs, and I was doing really well. And all of a sudden, I couldn't move. Like I literally was. I felt like my body was on fire from the inside out, and I had gotten a severe bone infection that almost killed me a second time, which started a snowball of surgeries. And um, I've had 12 surgeries now. I still struggle with chronic pain. I have a lot of nerve damage. I have a lot of muscle damage. And one of the biggest things that has taught me is that it all comes down to your mindset. We can physically limit ourselves if we are limiting our minds to think about what we can't do instead of what we can. So I always tried to be as physically active as I could, and I went to the gym a lot, and I would push myself so hard sometimes that it just wasn't good. and But I had this determination to overcome this, and I always had people hear my story and tell me, you're here for a reason. You're meant to do something with your life. You're meant to share this with people. And it was kind of like it went in one ear and out the other, but there was always echoes of it to me, and I didn't really know how I wanted to share my story, or when, or would I write a book, or anyway. So fast forward to my senior year of high school. I had to miss the first half of it because I was so medicated from having surgeries, that I just couldn't possibly keep up with schoolwork. And I was lucky that I was still able to graduate on time. And I got into Florida Gulf Coast University my first semester of college, and I wanted to be an art therapist because I had these dreams to help kids who had gone through situations like I did when I was young with losing my father, and give them a way to cope with their emotions in a way that they didn't have to be verbal about it, because I always loved art, and that was an escape for me. And at the end of my first semester, I had to move home because I needed another surgery. And on and off in between surgeries, I would kind of feel like I would do anything to escape what I was going through emotionally. And I, kind of surrounded myself with people that didn't really care about where I went in my life, or didn't care about what I was doing. And, I wasn't making the greatest decisions all the time. And because I had always struggled with my self-worth, I ended up in a lot of abusive relationships. I made a lot of mistakes. So, fast forward to my last year of what I thought was going to be my bachelor's degree. It had taken me about 7 years to get to that point, because every time I would be in the middle of a semester of school, I would need a surgery, and I would end up having to drop out and start over. So it was always 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back. And I just, over the course of those years, I had lost my ability to dream and set goals and want more for myself, because I just felt like no matter what I did, I couldn't get ahead. And that's a really awful feeling to have. And, it led me to a point where I was just kind of lost. I had, doctors all the time being very negative in what they were telling me, that I would suffer my whole life in chronic pain, that I could never overcome anything, that, I would need to take medication my whole life. And I was on a lot of medication at that time. And it affected my level of health a lot, and it affected my mindset a lot as well. And if you've ever taken medication, you know that you're a different person when you're taking medication a lot. And I went on vacation for that spring break, my senior year of college, and like I said, at that time, I was not making very good decisions, and I ended up meeting someone And 3 months down the road, I found out I was pregnant. So I it was like a wake up call for me. It was a wake up call for me that I needed to to start thinking about where my future was going. Um, it wasn't going to be just about me anymore. And my son is my miracle baby because I for many years didn't think I would ever be able to have children because of everything that's happened to my body physically. And I had had doctors say I would never be able to carry a child because of my bone structure. But my son has been my greatest blessing. He was the catalyst that has helped me find who I really wanted to be and has given me the drive to pursue becoming the woman I wanted to be and living the life that I wanted to live. And um, the relationship that I was in um, was very unhealthy with my son's dad. It was very abusive. He was a severe alcoholic. Um, I lived with constant anxiety, constant depression. Um, I just really felt like it was kind of the culmination of all the choices over the course of my life, and all the things that had happened to me were kind of just rearing their ugly heads and staring me in the face and saying, what are you going to do about this? Are you going to change this? Or are you going to just continue to kind of wander through life? And I had my son February 9th, 2013. And the moment I saw him, I knew, I said, I need to be the woman I want to be. I want to be better. I want to give him the life he deserves. I need to grow as a person. I need to become who I want to become, and I need to figure it out. Um, and fast forward to when he was 5 months old, the situation I was living in had gotten so violent and so volatile that at 4 in the morning one night, after having to call the cops, I called my mother and I asked for her help. And I decided to pick up and leave the situation, and I moved down to Florida, myself and my son, and decided I would rebuild a life for us. I had no idea how I would do it, how I would get by. Um, I just knew that I couldn't keep him in that situation. And I knew that we deserved better, and I knew that I was worth more, and I knew that he was going to learn more about life from seeing how I lived than what I told him. And I decided I needed to start living in a way that I would be proud if he became a person similar to who I was. Um, so for the next few months, I just, was literally overcome with anxiety every single day, trying to figure out what to do. And I just lived day to day and went through the motions. And um, we finally moved into our condo December of 2013. And I had just around that time started talking to an old high school friend who was involved with Beachbody. And I had told her that I was struggling to lose the last 20 pounds of my baby weight, and I just, my self-confidence was in the dumps, and my self-worth was in the dumps, and I had no energy. I felt like crap. I, was living on coffee. I wanted to be active again, and I wanted to be a good role model for him. I just didn't really know how. And after I avoided her for a few months and kept telling her no, I finally, the end of January 2013, T25 had gone on sale as a challenge pack, and I decided I wanted change more than I wanted to stay the same. And I got on a three-way call with my upline and her upline, and I heard a little bit about the business opportunity that Beachbody, was, and I decided to go all in. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't really know what I had to do. I just knew that this might be the blessing that I was searching for. And little did I know it was going to be way greater of a blessing than I could have ever imagined. And I 4 days into T25 and drinking Shakeology, I already felt better. My energy started to come back. I slowly was, with every healthy meal and every workout and every day focusing a little time on personal development, I started to think differently, and I started to over time realize that I needed to block the negativity out of my life, and I needed to let go of where I had been, and I needed to focus on the future and where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. Um, and I guess it's a good thing that I should tell you now is that I truly believe no matter what you've been through in your life and who you've been up until this point, you have the ability to change and become who you want to become and create the life that you really want to live, if you have the courage to overcome things within yourself that are holding you back. So um, here I am, a year and a half later. I have a thriving team. I am in the best shape I've ever been in my life. I am physically the strongest I have ever been in my life. I still suffer from chronic pain, but I've learned how to manage it by taking no medication. Same with my anxiety. I don't take any medication. Um, I wake up happy. I wake up with passion. I wake up loving life and loving what I do. Um, and I go to bed every night knowing that I am building the best life I can for my son and I. And there is no better feeling than that. Um, and I really, if anybody out there is thinking that this opportunity is a joke or a scheme or far-fetched or whatever it is, because I know those thoughts went through my mind too, um, I can tell you that this opportunity can absolutely change your life. I've watched it change my life in the past year and a half. I have showed up every day in pursuit of that change, because I craved it. I wanted it so badly for so many years, and this was finally the blessing that landed in my lap to be able to give me everything that I've always wanted and to be the person that I've always wanted to become. And not only that, but give me the platform to share my story where it can impact the lives of others, whether it's parents that are looking to be healthier so that they don't suffer the same fate that my dad did or that I did, losing a parent at a young age, or a woman who is in a violent situation that doesn't know how she can start over again. Whatever the situation may be, maybe it's a physical limitation that you've had, and you, like me, have had doctors tell you, you can never do this, you can never do that. And I can tell you, I physically can do 90% of the things that they told me that I would never do. And, it all comes down to how badly do you want to change your life? And how hard are you willing to work for that? And how hard are you willing to work on changing yourself and changing those self-limiting beliefs to be able to grow into the person that you need to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve? And I think that's about it, because this video is getting really long, but there's so much more I could share, but that's just kind of my story and how I've gotten to where I am now in a nutshell. And I can tell you that this has been the biggest blessing and the best decision I've ever made, to become a Beachbody coach and to believe in this opportunity and believe in myself and believe in my vision and believe in my dreams, and not only create the life that I want for myself and my son, but to help other people do the same for themselves or their families. And it is absolutely the most incredible thing if you just jump all in and run with it. Don't second guess this, don't second guess yourself, and don't second guess your ability to do this because of who you've been up until now, because that doesn't matter anymore. Your past doesn't define you. What you've been through doesn't define you. The things that you felt were your limitations in the past don't define you, and they don't define where you can go. the only way that you're ever going to know how far you can go and what your potential truly is if you chase it with a vengeance. So get out there and chase your dreams and make them come true.